Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Otherworldly Fundraising. So I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you who may be watching or listening to this. We're going to turn things over to our next moderator and guest. Julia, guess what? It's that magical time known as 5 o'clock. So it's on you now. No pressure.
Thank you.
But we know you can handle it. So I'm going to turn things over to our next moderator and guest. Thank you all for being here. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. If you wish to make a donation, you can do so by clicking the link in the description below, or the link is currently scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Without any further ado, please welcome Julia. Julia, stage is yours. Take it away.
Thank you, Ryan. I want to introduce our wonderful guest, Natalie Toro. She is a super talented Broadway performer. You probably recognize her from originating roles like Madame Defarge in A Tale of Two Cities, or from A Christmas Carol. She played Eponine in Les Mis, which we all love, Mary Magdalene in Jesus Christ Superstar, Camilla in the Heights, and so many more amazing roles. And I'm so grateful she's here today, so let me put her on the screen. There we go. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome.
It's so good to see you. Thank you for being here today.
Oh my gosh, of course.
So we have lots of folks watching, so we're going to highlight some of their questions if they want to ask us things, and I've got some questions too.
Okay, awesome.
I wanted to start out with kind of a silly question, a fun question. When I told my friends and when I was posting in different Facebook groups about this, everyone was immediately saying, oh, I saw her in this tour, or, I got to see this. And I said, okay, we know that you are a wonderful singer and a wonderful performer, but do you have a special skill that you feel like people don't know about that you want to share with the audience?
Oh, wow. That's cool. Actually, the pandemic we're all home and we're all in this really weird void of like, where is our life going? What's happening? And of course, when everybody went back to work, us actors were still considered non-essential. So there was a lot of stuff that I kept thinking about. Like, I'm like, okay, I've been doing this a really long time. I actually moved away from the city, which I never thought I would. Never thought I would. I was born and raised in the Bronx. And I was always, I'm never leaving the city, never. And well, I have left. And so I live in the country. I have a cute little house on 1.2 acres. I mean, it's country. It is like in the woods, animals and things like that. So during the pandemic, I was in my new house, in my new home, and so many thoughts have been going through my head, and I was thinking, hey Nat, what about coaching? How, like test the waters doing that, and I was teaching, kind of like a voice situation way back in the day, and the problem with having students when you're working a lot is that you're like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta go to the next thing, or I'm sorry, I gotta go on tour. This is way before Zoom, way before all of this that we're doing right now. So I thought, I started coaching online, and I kind of put myself out there, scared as hell, lots of things. And I realized, Natalie, you're a really good teacher. You're a really good teacher. And I don't really like to call myself a teacher. It's just more of a coach. And it's more like, why not serve those people that kind of want to know my secrets? And I have lots of, credibility. I have lots of experience. Why not get it out there to the youngins that are aspiring? And I've had so many people say, I want to sing like you. How do you sing like that? I want to do this. I want to do that. So I have this new Natalie Toro method that I'm putting out there, and it's taken a while. I'm scared as hell, like I said, terrified and excited at the same time. But I'm launching my new course this Friday, the 15th, online.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's called Break a Leg.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. I'm still learning the online thing and the marketing and how do you get the audience to, so
Mhm.
yeah, so that scares me too. A lot of things scare me. I'm not like a selfie, let's Instagram, let's do all that. I'm from a different generation, but it's very exciting because I've been working really hard on it, and it's all about acting through song and with that little flavor of Natalie Toro. So that's
That's
what I've
amazing.
discovered.
Yes, that's amazing because not everybody enjoys coaching or teaching or wants to. So that's such a great skill to discover. And I'm sure there's so much you have to bring to your students too.
Well, what's great is that I'm not a normal teacher. Like I could never work at a university, I don't think, because I'll probably be fired within the first week. I'm a very hands-on, touchy-feely. I'm just that. And there's so many rules. I Googled. I don't think I'd be really good at that. But privately, and then I thought Zoom, there's like hardly a connection. You're like this computer and I can't touch them and I can't hug them and tell them everything's okay, but it's what's amazing to me is the way I feel when they get to a certain level and they're soaring and they're getting it and they're surprised at themselves, and it's all about finding your own truth. And that to me, I think, is missing out of a lot of courses and training and things like that. It's like, yeah, there's acting, there's all, but really, like, who are you? Who are you in all these different scenarios? So
I love that. That's amazing. That's a fabulous answer.
So look out for break a leg. Here it comes. Yikes.
That's so exciting. That's amazing. On a similar, on the topic of singing, I put down a question here. My family, we were talking about earworms the other day, like songs that get stuck in your head. And I was thinking of, you've gotten to sing so many amazing songs. Is there one that you go back to and every time you go back to it, you're like, oh no, this is going to be stuck in my head for days? Is there one that's that earworm for you?
The earworm situation. That's very funny because there'll be songs that I don't even know I'm singing, and all of a sudden I'm like, why am I thinking of that song? As far as the roles that I've played, I think the one that really gets stuck in my head is On My Own, especially if I do it in concert. I go back to that time and place, and I'm really reliving all of that, except I'm like, 500 years older. So, but I go right back to that place. And so when I'm done when I'm done with the concert, I'll still feel that melody in my head. On my own, I'll just still, it's almost like I embodied that role. I did that role for 3.5 years. So
yes,
it's a long time.
That was one of my questions. That is an amazing amount of time. How did you, I know it's different. Some people really love doing the same thing 8 shows a week. Some people like more variation. Did you have any kind of tricks or rituals or something that helped you keep it fresh when you are doing something for, that amount of time?
Well, interestingly enough, I was very young when I got the role. And I think what kept me going was my growth. Like, I was just growing as a young lady. And I know you have to have the stamina and the technique and the tools and all that stuff. But I think I was bringing my life experiences on that stage. And so that's kind of what I teach in my course. It's just like, I kept it so fresh because I would literally, if I had a day, it could be anything, I would bring that feeling to the stage. And also the fact that I learned that, because it was my first Broadway show, I learned that audience, it's the first time they're seeing it. Or maybe the 27th time they've seen it. But they want to feel like it's the first. So as far as getting stagnant, or that never really happened for me. I really kept it fresh, and that's how I lasted that long. Otherwise, oh God, But I think growing too, and growing with her. You know, I was young and I was growing in my own life, and coming and getting to sing that song every night. And I think the worst part for me was, the turntable and the smoke and the fog and all that kind of stuff. But I have some funny stories with Les Mis, because there was a whole drama happening backstage, but yeah, I think that's how I kept it fresh. I was growing with her.
That's amazing. I'm going to pause for just a technical question. Can you do me a favor? And it should be on the bottom middle of your screen. Can you just click on that settings button for me?
Bottom.
It's like a gear.
Yes, there it is. Yeah.
And then click on audio. And if you scroll down, there's something that says mic volume. Are you able to turn that, pull that up a little bit?
It's all the way up. Oh, wait.
Okay, that's okay.
Is that better?
I think so. It's we got a couple comments that you're a little quiet, but I adjusted it, so I think you should be good now.
All right, testing, 1, 2, testing.
Thank you. Gotta love technology.
I know.
I've got a cute question from the chat here. Do you have a favorite role that you've played?
Oh, awesome. I get that question a lot, and what's interesting is, of course, not all my roles were favorites, just because I really didn't like the show, whatever. And sometimes you're in it and you just have to do it, But again, I started so young that I was growing with each role. I was like, so I did Eponine and Grisabella in Cats, which, she was an old girl. She was an old furball, and I was a young girl experiencing being like an old girl, an old senior girl, but I'm going to say again, my favorite role was Eponine. It's just, I think it's just cause you never forget your first type of thing. And she wearing her heart on her sleeve, and, I'm a huge empath. I'm a huge romantic. I mean, she was going to make him fall in love with her no matter what, It's like, she only needed to take a bath, But no, I think that's my favorite role. The hardest role, in case anybody was going to ask, the hardest role was Eva Perón in Evita.
I can imagine. Wow.
Yes, you have to be really fit for that. Not only physically, emotionally, mentally, because you bring that girl home, you're done.
Wow, yeah.
And I was the first Latina to play her. And I brought another oomph into it. I brought the passion and the amazing amount of emotion that comes with being a Latina. It's just there is nothing like it. You ever hear that saying, "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned"? Well, let me just add a Latin woman in there, and you just know what I'm talking about. It's just that, it's just in your face. It's loud, in your face. It's everything. It's just, it's like everything is, what is the word? Everything is right there. It doesn't matter. What? What do you mean? What do you mean? So.
That's amazing. Thank you for that question from the
chat.
How's
my microphone? Is it better?
It sounds good to me. Somebody tell us in the chat if it's better, please.
Better, because come on.
So I was looking at your bio and your website, which is awesome. And you've gotten to do a lot of tours, which I think is so cool.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the fact I stayed with a friend a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh, it's so annoying to not have my bed and my bathroom and my stuff. How do you deal with, not only do you have these amazing roles and the show that you have to put on when you're touring, but did you enjoy going from, a new theater every 2 weeks, or was that kind of something stressful that you needed to acclimate to?
I think being on tour definitely is something to get used to. Touring nowadays is very different than touring back in the day. Very different because, you have this baggage limit now. You have to try to figure out. But back when I was touring, the baggage limit was like 75 pounds. 50. That's an extra 25 pounds. I mean, you were killing your back, but that's enormous because you have to bring everything with you. I think that was the hardest part, was trying to figure out what your needs are, what you needed to bring, and then the enormous amount of stuff that you bought. And then you got to send all that stuff home, because you're just in different cities. I want to go to the mall. I want to do this, But I think the hardest part was the travel and then doing a show.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to like really send out huge applause and kudos to the crew of all these national tours, because the actors are always complaining, I'm so tired. But we get a day off. Even though we're traveling, we still have a night off. The crew does not have not even a moment. They got to go from load out to plane, bus, back to the theater, load in. It's crazy, So, but what I will say about touring that I love is that the cast and the crew, we're only there for that show. So kind of, there's not a lot of distraction. Where you're like, when you do a Broadway show in New York, you have your life, you run to voice lessons, dance lessons, this and that, and by the time 8 o'clock runs around, you're exhausted just from being in New York City, and on tour, you can stay in your hotel room sleeping all day if you want to.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something to get used to, but once you do, it's awesome.
That's amazing. We did get feedback. The mic is better, so that is awesome.
Yay!
And I have a fun question here from Kristen. So you've done a Broadway album and a Christmas album. Would you ever consider doing a Disney album or a standards album?
Oh, yes, Kristen. Yes. In fact, I was talking about that the other day. I wanted to incorporate some Disney stuff into a show that I started to write, and definitely standards. I think people love the way my voice sounds with standards, and I guess I don't do them enough to then you sound like Judy Garland. I'm like, I don't sound like Judy Garland, but I guess I guess whatever style, or my breath, or the timbre, I don't know what it is, but yes, I definitely want to do that. And how funny, I just spoke about CDs, and like CDs are gonna be null and void really soon.
That's okay. You can stream it. We all want to hear you on streaming.
But it's all streaming. It's all like, I just opened up my box of CDs. I was like, wow, what am I going to do with these?
Oh, so Jacqueline says yay for Disney songbook, and then Kristen also says she still buys CDs. So
that's
you've got an audience.
Yeah, but you know what? I know, and it's great. I still have a huge CD collection, and people don't realize, like, when everything goes down, it's like you better save your DVDs and your old VHSs and your CDs, because that's the only thing you're going to be able to listen to or watch.
Right. We've got I think this is kind of similar vein here. Where did that question go? Oh, I see. It's if you could turn a movie or a book into a Broadway show, what movie or book would you pick?
Wow. Ooh, I would have to think about that. Movie or book? Huh.
So many options.
I know. I haven't had a lot of time to read lately, so I'm just like, a movie or book? Wow, I would have to think about that.
Yeah, we can come back to that.
We'd be here for the whole hour, because my brain is, I'm like,
That's okay. So another question I had on kind of the theater topic, my background is primarily in dance, so I'm very used to remembering choreography. I know for actors and singers, you've got to remember your lyrics, your lines. Have you ever had one of those moments on stage where you have just blanked and lost your lines, lost your blocking, anything like that?
You have not met Natalie Toro. Yes. Oh my God, yes, all the time. And here's one of the things that I try to coach my students on. Like, you got to stay in that moment, because if you start thinking, oh, you know what, I'm really hungry, I think I'm going to have pizza for lunch. You know, you start thinking, the moment your brain goes somewhere else, those words are out, you know, and you don't even realize the words are out. Or the other thing that happens to me is I'll start all of a sudden second guessing that I don't know the words. Like, oh, wait, what is that lyric? What is it? While I'm singing, all of a sudden my brain is like, and then and then it'll come sometimes, and then sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't come, I have a really good knack of just saying something. But and if people know the song, they're like, huh? I'll never forget, I had to do in concert Don't Rain on My Parade. I've never sang it before. This was years ago, and I've heard it, but I've never learned it or anything like that. Now that's a you know, don't tell me not. I mean, there's a lot of words, and I had to learn it in like, I don't know, 2.5 days.
Oh my God.
And no, right? And I was petrified. So this is a funny story. So I'm so petrified because I know that everyone in the audience, everyone in this particular audience definitely knew every lyric. And I thought, I'm screwed. I'm done. They're going to throw tomatoes. I'm done. Right. So they're like, Natalie Toro, right? So the band starts, dun, 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 right? I come out, and I'm thinking, that's way too fast, Poppy. So,
oh, no.
So I go over to the conductor. They're playing. They're just doing an intro. And I go out to the pianist, and I'm like, just a little slower. Right? Now, I have no microphone. I'm just a little slower in his ear. He's like, he slowers it, dun, dun, dun. And I'm thinking, no. Yeah, no, a little slower. Okay, I was so nervous. I just didn't want to go to the microphone.
Oh my gosh.
I finally did it, and I did fluff up some of the words, but primarily I got through. And in fact, it's on YouTube, which is really scary.
Oh no, I know.
I cannot even bring myself to watch it. Like, I messed up the words.
I love that about live performances. I love hearing when there's little mess ups or little differences, because that's what makes it, you know, real and live and not, you know, endlessly auto-tuned.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, and I think that part of being an actor and a performer and an entertainer is really just knowing, like, in the moment, you gotta do something. You can't just stand there frozen. Because, you know, 2 seconds, 3 seconds in the theater is like an eternity.
Absolutely.
You know, or missed entrances are my favorite. I've done that a couple times.
That gets complicated, especially in Les Mis. Has that happened where you or someone has missed their entrance?
Not so much in Les Mis, because of course the music just keeps going. But I do have a funny story where the turntable during On My Own, the turntable did not stop so that the crew could take the furniture off from the previous scene. So
that's not good.
I'm singing On My Own, and here comes the bench. So because I realized I know when the turntable is supposed to stop, and it didn't. So I'm like, ooh, okay. So I became like an Olympic hurdler.
Oh my God.
With a coat, you know, just trying to get away from the bench, and then there's a chair, and there's, you know, other things, and they're trying to take it off, and they just can't, you know. So
I'm sure there was a lot of chatter and panic backstage as they watched you.
No, it's fun. It's fun. And missed entrances are funny because, you know, you miss an entrance, then you have all your actor friends out there, or your scene partners, just, you know, improving away.
I see this response here for a potential movie musical. I think Barbie the Musical would be fun. I think that's a good suggestion.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. In fact, I just saw that at a drive-in movie.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay,
Did you like it?
Yeah, well, I wanted to go. Yeah, well, yes.
Oh, you know what I realized? I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it. I'm sorry, we're not supposed to talk about struck companies, so I don't know if they count. But
Sorry.
well, no, my bad. We can talk about the musicals we want to make up because they don't exist.
All right, not movies. No movies.
That's okay. I have plenty of theater questions, but I've got another fun audience question for the theater, which is, do you have a crazy or a ridiculous audition story?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, and the one that I always tell is, again, Les Mis. Well, first of all, I was known by casting directors as the tripper. So I don't know what would happen. I would be so nervous that I would always trip going into the room. Like, I didn't lift my leg up to step over, whatever it is, I just fall into the room. Okay, that being said, my Les Mis audition was in June, so it was hot, and I wore just really fluffy, big clothes, like big pants and a big shirt, and I'll never forget that I started singing, and my voice just decided to have that little tickle, that tickle.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And, it's a nightmare for a singer because you're trying to ignore that tickle, and the more you ignore it, the more it itches, and the more you're going to cough. So I literally coughed up a few lungs, and of course I have 3 lungs. No, and now this was a long time ago, and in the behind the table were all the creatives. Like, there were 20 people there, and there was a huge bottle of Evian water, and I just looked at it, and as I'm coughing and I'm coughing and I'm coughing and I can't stop coughing, and I don't know if you've coughed so much where you start to lose your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
so
that's not
good. I'm thinking, oh, I just blew it. So I walked over to the table and I said, "Can I take a sip?" And I didn't care whose it was. I didn't care what kind of germs there were on there. I chugged a good amount of that water. And then they were all like,
no,
just deadpan. And I'm so nervous, and I thought they're just going to say, well, thank you, right?
right.
And they asked me to continue singing from where I left off. I was like,
okay,
great. I said, I'm the little horse from, They were like, yeah. Okay, so I did it.
Oh,
I did it. And then they had me go to the piano and do all these Eponine things, and then the associate director at that time says to me, because I'm wearing these big balloony clothes, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you look like under all those clothes? Now, mind you,
no,
if they can't say that nowadays, right?
Mm.
No way. But you're in the middle, and you're so nervous. You'll do whatever it takes, really, And he was like, "What do you look like under there?" And I literally lifted my entire shirt up, and I showed everything. And
that's all for asking.
That was it. And I lowered the shirt, and I left the room, and I booked it 2 days later. Yay!
Oh my god, that's a really amazing audition story to have in your back pocket. Wow.
Well, you can't do it. Yeah, they can't ask you so many things now, and they do. They do ask.
Sure.
You.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to. Like, my favorite is, so you're Spanish, right? Yes. They're not supposed to ask me what kind of Spanish I am. Where was I born? Where was my family born? They're not supposed to. Like, Spanish is, we're all part of this culture, right? So
for sure,
very funny, very funny.
I want to say we have folks in the comments saying, I've got someone here saying hi Eileen. They're saying they love CDs and DVDs. Alex over here said vinyls are making a comeback.
Mm-hmm.
Jacqueline said that She buys everything hard copy. So I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't give up on CDs
Yeah,
yet.
maybe I should keep those and still sell them. But you know, it's so hard. Like I said, I'm really, it's hard for me to get into this whole new age of technology and AI too.
Oh my gosh, talk
You
about
know,
complicated.
I mean, but I'll tell you, my brother sent me something that he wrote, a letter, and he goes, "Look, Nat, I asked AI to kind of rewrite it for me," and I was like, "Oh my God." You know, AI got his essence, I was like, that is scary. So,
Definitely.
Yep.
Definitely. We are at the half-hour mark, so I'm going to remind our audience. I'm looking in our notes from the producer, and we are now at $1,021. So that is amazing.
Yay! Come on, keep it coming.
Yay. Amazing donations. Let's keep that going, and you can see it scrolling at the screen. You can visit us at otherworldlyfundraising.godaddysite.com, and you can learn about the charity. You can that's where you can find the big donate button. You can learn all this stuff there. So thank you for donating and watching, and hello to everybody in the comments. Let's keep going with let's keep going with some good questions from the chat. Let's see, who's the most famous person who's watched you perform a show?
Ooh, I love that. I've had Brooke Shields.
Wow.
Jason Alexander,
Mhm.
Jerry Lewis. Oh God, of course their names are like escaping me. Oh my God, there were so many. I mean, so many. But my favorite is when they come backstage to say hi. Lily Tomlin came.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, you know, that's my favorite. Brooke Shields came. She asked to be escorted to my dressing room.
Wow, that is so special.
That was really amazing. And you know, I'm 5'2" and she's really up there. I was like, wow, you're really tall, you know. But she's really, really sweet. Really, really sweet. And Jason Alexander, I'll never forget this. I asked him for a photo. I was like, come on, it's a photo op, let's go, you know. And so he was like, well, let me look at it, right? And he goes, yep, still bald, just like he would in Seinfeld. Just like, you know.
That's adorable.
Oh my gosh.
Do you like to know ahead of time if famous people are watching, or does that make you nervous? Do you not want to know?
I'm one of those people that I want to know everything, and even though it makes me nervous, that's okay. You know, I never understood people that are. I mean, I respect it, but I never understood people that are like, no, I don't want to even know if you're in the audience. Like, it's me, you know. But yeah, I want to know. I get excited.
That's amazing. I'm going back to my list of questions. I'm trying to switch between the audience and my own questions here. But what I realized, and I don't think it took me a second to put this together, but you've been in A Tale of Two Cities and A Christmas Carol. And I went, oh my God, wait a minute. Those are both Dickens novels, like very different vibes. So you're both originating roles. So in that creative process, were there similarities, or were the vibes just so different that you were like, these are too different?
Oh God, it was like two different writers. I mean, and two different centuries. It just so different. I mean, A Christmas Carol. First of all, the original Christmas Carol was done at the Paramount Theater at Madison Square Garden, and we literally had a cast of 75.
Oh my God, I did not know that.
And the set was as big as a football field. Like, it was redonkulous.
Wow.
Yes, it was. And so Susan Stroman was choreographing, and so trying to get 75 cast members all organized and costumes and things like that, you know. And it was great to meet Alan Menken and Lynn Ahrens. And, you know, it was just an awesome experience. But it was very bright. Now, Madison Square Garden, you got to do like 17, 18 shows a week.
Oh my God, yeah.
That was a crazy schedule. We had no life.
Mm-hmm.
No
Oh dear.
life.
And
Yeah.
especially at the holidays, you don't get to have a
I
life.
know. I was like, you better do your Christmas shopping early because this is not going to happen, you know. Yeah, it was, we all slept at the theater in between, and it became a real family real fast. You know, usually
Mm-hmm.
theater families become families real fast, but this one was just, we were in each other's faces every day for 17 shows a
Yeah.
week. Yeah. Sometimes 4 shows a day.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you're doing more than the Rockettes there. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
I mean, and there were shorter shows. They were like 90 minutes, you know, but they're big shows, big costumes, big light. I mean, I don't know if you saw the original. It's beautiful. It was beautiful.
I didn't know. I've only
Oh
seen
my
clips.
goodness, really, really gorgeous. And Walter Charles was our Scrooge, and he has since passed. I think just a couple weeks ago.
Mm.
But and then Tale of Two Cities. Whew, that's like. That's a different nut completely.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I want to pull up some of these questions here. This is from Eileen. She says she saw you in Les Mis. It was her first time. And after 20 years later, in a tour of In the Heights.
Oh, wow.
You said Les Mis was your favorite role, but did you feel a personal connection to In the Heights? I'm going to remind our commenters, of course, we can talk about the tour. We cannot talk about the movie right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, the tour and the show, of course.
Yeah.
The personal connection I had with that was I was channeling my mother. You know, I am, you know, we are in a Latin cast with Latin emotions and all that kind of stuff. And if you've ever been in that kind of environment, it's a lot, you know. So, but what I loved about In the Heights was that it really told the story of the culture and the family and the love and the respect, you know. And it was the first time that I think in the theater world that Latinos were depicted as real people and not like the drug addicts and
Sure.
you know, stuff like that, and the housekeepers like they do in, I won't say it, in you know, in other things and other genres and stuff. So God, that's really hard not to say it. But yes, so I was channeling my mother. She raised me with high hopes of becoming successful. She had dreams of being a ballerina.
Oh.
And yeah, and back then, like, her father didn't think that was a good thing to do. So he squashed her dreams. So when I said I wanted to, you know, I was a singer and I wanted to do this thing, like my very first performance was at the Apollo Theater when I was 5 years old, an amateur night. So, you know, I got the bug right at 5, and my mom was a huge support of that, and so was my dad. And but Camila in the Heights, you know, she's tough. She's the grounding force of the family, even though, you know, the role of Kevin is the father, la la la, he's making the money, but it's the mother that grounds everybody. You know, it's the mother that says, hey, I want to talk to you. You know, and like you can't get away with stuff. And I could not get away with anything with my mother. She saw if I tried to do anything. That's why I was such a good kid. I didn't want the wrath of Lucy.
I have a question from Kristen, who is one of our fearless leaders, and I think she's leading the witness a little bit. But do you want to talk about the time you recorded a music video for a Christmas song, but it was apparently in LA during the summer?
Yes. Sometimes you have to just go and just make the snow. Okay. Yeah, it was just the timing of it all. You know, Chris, everything has to be done before the summer is over for a holiday release. So the Ryan Kelly, who is from Celtic Thunder, who Kristen knows very well, we were able to have him do this duet with me, and the song "Baby It's Cold Outside" is not your. I don't think it's one of my favorite songs. One of my favorite, and it really wasn't a Christmas song to begin with. But for some reason, they played at Christmas. Just because it's the word "cold" is in it, I guess. And they talk about the snow and the this and that. But so I thought if I can get Ryan Kelly to sing this with me as a duet, we would make it with a Celtic flair, since he's from Ireland, and I've never met him before. So we had our first little video meet online years ago, and he is such a charming man, and his accent, you just melted like butter. Love that butter. And he has piercing blue eyes and black hair, just gorgeous. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that with you. Yeah. And of course he's like, wow, Natalie Toro's asking me to do what? So it was a mutual respect, a mutual pedestal raising, lifting situation. And so then we had my arranger do it Celtic, and it came out beautiful. And then we're like thinking, he flew to New York from Ireland. We flew him in and we recorded it. It was great. And I said, if I could raise the money for a video, would you come? Because we weren't thinking about videos at that time, but it came out so great. And sure enough, he was like, yeah, I'll come back. And so at the end of summer in August in Los Angeles, it is hot there, right? And we rented a warehouse, and the set was built, and costumes and dancers, and if you it's on YouTube, and if you saw it, this was in an empty warehouse situation. Wow. And we just built it, and we had a film crew, and we had snow machines. Yeah, there was no way we were going to find a bit of snow anywhere. So we did, and then at the last scene is me and Ryan on the couch, kind of like it was a dream type of thing, and we're on the couch, facing the fireplace, and these two windows on the side, and you can see the snow falling outside the windows. So we had crew people on the top of the roof of this house with the snow machines, just get it down, because you don't know how big the snowflakes look, if they're small, if the camera's going to pick it up. So the camera did pick it up. So that was hysterical.
Everyone's going to have to look that up after this. Everyone's loving that. They love Celtic Thunder. We're all going to go look this up from Christmas in September.
And then everybody always asks, what is the last word he says? And it's because of his accent, people can't understand it. It's doubt. D-O-U-B-T. Doubt.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
And he says, don't. In his accent, it's a cute little accent. So, yeah.
That's amazing.
It was great.
I've got a fun question here. Who are some of your favorite singers outside of the musical theater realm?
Oh, yeah. I love Adele. Love her.
Yes.
Love her.
She's had a great couple of years with a comeback,
Yes, I just love her voice is so soothing. It's rich. Her songs are just deep. And of course, I was raised with Barbra Streisand. And funny enough, when I listen to Barbra now, it was definitely a time in my life, because now I look at her like, how did you do that? How did you hold that note so long? How did you even get up there and then get down? Like vocally, she's a giant.
Wow.
And I still listen to her. I mean, there's I listen to a lot of Gladys Knight and the Pips. Like, I'm from an era where that type of music, I was raised with a certain type of music, and then of course musical theater, I was raised with Godspell, and Hello Dolly, but most important, like on Pandora, if someone were to ask me, what do you listen to a lot in Pandora? Well, if I'm listening to Pandora, it's usually because I'm cleaning my house, and I just blast the mention channel. Just because there's Gladys Knight and the Pips, and there's Stevie Wonder, and because I just feel like music today is just not the same, and maybe I'm just old. I don't know, because you hear you heard your parents say that, like, oh, here we go. Everybody, every decade of music, it just changes, but there was nothing like that music. Just the melody, I listened to country. I love Trisha Yearwood. Again, story and vocally, Then I also listen to salsa music. That gets me going. I always say, like, my little red blood cells are dancing with my little white blood cells, and they're just little dancing partners, Yeah, and then I'll listen to Pavarotti. So it's very eclectic. It just depends on my
I love
mood.
that.
And classical music, I listen to cello. That's my
Oh,
favorite.
okay.
That's my favorite instrument, even though I was a pianist. Back in the day, I used to be a concert pianist. Oh, don't even ask me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
wow.
That's amazing. On going back to, because we've got about 15 minutes left, so I'm gonna remind everyone, please donate. This is such a fabulous charity. If you can look up their website, One Simple Wish, and they explain it very beautifully.
Yeah.
But it's really sweet to read the stories. These aren't big extravagant things we're trying to get for these kids in foster care or difficult situations. It's often like very simple things. Ryan, one of our previous hosts, said it really well, that they're not asking for big things, and it's things we usually take for granted. So please donate. We've already raised some great money this hour so far with you, Natalie. So thank you for being here with us.
Gosh, yes. I want to say something about that.
Please.
I've done a lot of charity work, and we do take so much for granted. When you're there and you actually see it. I mean, it's not part of my everyday world, but when I get asked to do something like this, or if I get asked to sing at an event, and you're watching video and you're watching stories and people, you're like, wow, there's some really great people out there. Like, really, you don't even see that a lot. On social media, all you see is junk and mean stuff and stuff that creates news and but like, what does it take to be a big brother or a big sister?
Absolutely.
That I've always wanted to do that, but again, I can't commit. It's hard to commit.
It's a lot, and I love when we have these opportunities in between, because most of us can't drop our job or our families or whatever to do this. So I love that we have these charities that help us with that middle step. I think Kristen or someone was telling me earlier, one of the things was a kid just wanted his own set of bed sheets, clean new beds. That's so simple, something we take for granted, right?
Right.
Exactly. And and we're so grateful that you're here today, and to our whole audience, thank you for donating. I would love to talk with you a little bit more about your coaching and some of your thoughts on teaching. I had a question here about, are there trends that you have right now, whether it's maybe vocal trends or music? Are there trends you're seeing in your coaching that you're like, yes, I love this I want to encourage? And then maybe is there something that you're like, you know what? No, I'm not a fan of that. I don't really prescribe to that with your particular method.
Good question. I take everything that everyone has to tell me seriously, and I take it as very important. Everyone has different views and different opinions, and they've been taught differently. And as you know, when you're a young adult, teachers and coaches are very important, and you have to be careful what you say to them, because they can remember that for the rest of their lives, just like I remembered some of my stuff, some of the teachers that have said stuff to me, good and bad.
Sure.
And so I always go about with, like, look, this is new. This is a new way of thinking. I'm very spiritual too. I'm very like one mind-body connection, and because I think that that's missing. I think that a lot of coaches and acting studios, and they really focus on the art of acting.
Mm-hmm.
I get that, but then what happens when you're not connected? How do you connect? And a lot of people are having a hard time connecting. So I go back to like experiences. I'm like, let's open up that Pandora's box.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to you when you were 5 years old? What happened to you? Oh, your father left your mother. How did that make you feel? Like, all those experiences, that's what I try to have them keep in their Pandora's box, because they need to pull that out to create a feeling, to take on a role that may have to think about that, or just the feeling of it, and sometimes I'll have a student that says, I'm not very good with that. And I just start laughing, and I'm like, just take a deep breath, Nat, because you know what? They're gonna get it. It's just they're fighting what they have been taught.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of what I try to instill is that we all develop bad habits, and those bad habits are also memory habits and things like that. So we need to strip all of that and get down to the nitty-gritty of like, who's this little soul right in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically,
that's wonderful.
that's how I attack that, because kids nowadays, woo, child, they're intense. They have their own thing going. It's a whole different generation, and sometimes I feel so old when they're talking about things. But the bottom line is we're all experiencing the same thing. It's just different social standards and different, social rules or whatever it is, but we're still human. We're still this. And so that's what I try to get back to that. And
Absolutely.
I had a student, Ariana, who just went to college, like literally a couple weeks ago. And I was crying, and the gratitude that came from her, she sent me this beautiful card. I couldn't believe it. I was just like crying.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't read the words, because she was like, thank you. You are like my therapist, my life coach, my this, my that. It's not just what I'm doing, I'm giving them everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving them value, like how to be a better person, how, just try to be a good person first and foremost. Yeah, I'm not good with that, Nat. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, all right. So then what are you good with? So.
Sure. Yes. That's beautiful though. And I always think that it's such an honor when we get to work with kids and work with different generations, because I think everybody has something to bring. So I love that you go back to their little soul. I think that's really important.
Yes. Who's that soul?
So you mentioned, college did start up recently for a lot of people. So thinking about whether it's college or shows, do you have audition advice for young performers or aspiring performers as we maybe think about future audition seasons?
Absolutely. The one thing that I would say is and I wish somebody told me this, is that just know that they want you to be the person that they're going to cast.
Okay.
They want you to be that person. So be you. Who is that? Be you. Walk in and be you. And it doesn't matter, and this is my favorite, it doesn't matter how you do at the audition. You could be amazing. You could just screw it up. You could do whatever. However it went. If like, I believe in the universe, I believe in this like blueprint of our life. It's like, if you are meant to be in that show with those people at that point in life and in time, then guess what? You're going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So try to chill, like
yes.
Leave it at the door and just keep moving.
Absolutely. Or you're frozen? I think it'll come back in just a sec.
Oh, we froze.
There you go.
Oh,
I
hi.
see you now. Hello.
You froze for a minute.
There
I
we
don't know
go.
what you heard. I don't know.
We heard. I love the message of, they're not, they want you to be the right person to chill. I think that's really important. And I do agree. I think it's so hard. And I say this, as a younger person too, not to, it's easy to say everything is riding on this, right? And that is a
Oh
not
my
always
gosh,
the
of
best mentality,
course.
right?
It is riding on it. I mean, you got to pay your bills too, and you
Exactly.
that's your dream role. Yeah, but you know what?
Right.
You can't. It's like a universal thing.
Yeah, I agree. If it's meant to be, absolutely.
But the most important thing I think is it doesn't matter who is in front of you. Be nice to them and be kind. Because you never know.
Absolutely.
They're going to be the next big director and you're walking in and you had a big fight with them. Forget it. So just be kind to everyone. It's not worth it.
I love that. I totally agree. We have a few minutes here left, so I want to make sure, let's make sure that the audience knows where can they find you and where can we find this new course, because I am so excited.
Well, the course, I don't have the link yet because I'm trying to get everything together. However, I think it's gonna be all over my social media, which is my Facebook is obviously Natalie Toro, and then I'll be on Instagram at the Natalie Toro. Funny story, I had to there was another Natalie Toro pretending to be me, and
oh no,
they had the name. I was like, "Can I have my name, please?" Yeah. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. Everything worked out. It's great. She's a lovely girl, and so yeah. So actually, my website natalietoro.com, and the course is called Break a Leg. I also wanted to say that I am doing a new musical, a new presentation. Yes, at the National Archives Museum in DC.
Okay.
And it's called Tyrants. And
wow.
it is a story about the Booth brothers, like Edwin Booth and John Wilkes Booth. John Wilkes who killed President Lincoln, and it's their story. And we're doing this big presentation in October, and so
wow.
And I get to play the mama. I'm playing their mother, the Booth brothers' mother.
Wow, that is going to be a great role. Wow, I'm gonna we've got to tell everybody about this, and I have DC friends, so I will be telling my.
Oh yes, yes, it's free. It's like you just have to RSVP. It's Tyrants the musical. Let me see. I have it right here. I think I don't know. I guess it's Tyrants the musical.
I'm sure our audience will go looking. I know we've got a lot of musical theater fans here. So.
Oh yeah, Tyrants the musical, October 6th and the 7th.
That is so exciting.
I'm very excited.
Wow. So thank you so much for being here today. It was so wonderful to talk to you. Our audience is so excited that you're here. And thank you for supporting us for this charity. It means so much.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for asking. Break a leg out there, everybody. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you.
Once again, this is Otherworldly Fundraising. Our fundraising efforts are benefiting one simple wish. Links are located in the description below.